You've played at the organization. You know USC. My issue isn't the loss. My issue is, Petros, 18 games in, unlike Michigan, where 5 games in, Harbaugh's already established an identity. I don't know what USC is right now. Do you?
Oh, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, Colin. And thank you for dragging the South Bay beaches to come up with me. You guys found a real burnout this morning. I mean, you're really dragging the lake after that USC loss.
It was really – I'm sitting at the stadium last night. I had good seats. I'm around USC alums, and I'm telling you, they are bailing. He has no capital left with the older USC alums. Does he have capital in the building?
I don't think so. And there's always going to be a power struggle at a place like USC or Texas or Alabama between old school alums and people that are with the athletic director and people that are against him. But there's a lot of push and pull right now at USC about Pat Haden's regime with Steve Sarkisian. And I know Pat Haden didn't hire Lane Kiffin, but when he kept him after that Sun Bowl and kind of went out on a limb and really protected Lane, he might as well have hired Lane Kiffin the way he kept him around. And then he fired him like he was a drug dealer on a tarmac. So it got ugly there, and this is getting pretty ugly too. And I mean, after last night, they don't have an identity. I mean, they don't run the ball consistently. They're trying to feature players kind of as opposed to playing them and just getting guys involved in the natural rhythm of the game. And it was an ugly loss last night with a freshman quarterback. Washington looked pretty crisp and identified themselves with what they wanted to do. USC cannot, even though they're much better as a team.
Do you believe you have relationships in the building? You and I said this earlier. You used to get 4 years. Now you get 18 games at powerhouses. Maybe at a Baylor or an Oregon State you get 3 or 4 years. But at USC now you get 18 games and people make decisions. What if in their next games? And by the way, the Pac-12 hasn't been this good in a long time. They go to Notre Dame. They face Utah. They go at Cal. Those teams are better than most people thought. What if they went 1-2 in those games, counting last night 1-3 in a 4-game stretch? Do you believe USC would make their mind up, whether they went public or not, to move off him?
Yeah, and I think it would probably come from above, and maybe those conversations, in fact, I know more than maybe, those conversations are already taking place. And when you're USC, and it's already a problem because of the crooked eyebrows that you had when Sark was hired. I mean, they paid $1 million, Pat Haden's guys paid $1 million to Korn Ferry, a search firm, to find a guy that they already knew and could have hired. And they also paid $1 million to hire Andy Enfield to a search firm. Not to say that Andy Enfield wasn't a hot coach when he was hired, but they had a search firm looking for months to end up to hire a guy from Florida Gulf Coast. So there's already skeptical people inside the building, even when Sark was hired. Not to say he had an uphill battle like a guy like Charlie Strong, but people were already worried about hiring a guy who was so similar to Lane Kiffin in his football philosophy. And that's playing itself out on the field. Lack of identity, overusing perimeter players, not running the ball enough, not being able to stop people when necessary. Just a lot of these things keep repeating themselves.
Before we let you go, at USC, it's a private institution. They can kind of do what they want. UCLA is the more public institution, has to go to a regents or board. So does Texas. But at USC, it's private. Are there a handful of boosters that make decisions or can add pressure? Because you know what happens in these big spots. 2 big boosters align and say, we're done with this guy. Does USC work that way?
Yeah, that's how Lane Kiffin got fired. You know, somebody that gives more than $1 million, a bigger number than that, called Pat Haden and got it done. And that's why these things end up happening, and sometimes very abruptly, because somebody who has a big say will then say something. That being said, Pat Haden used to be one of those guys. He was on the board of trustees at USC when he was calling Notre Dame games. He used to be one of those string pullers in the background. And now that he's in the forefront, it's been a lot rougher.